9. Automotive catastrophes. How corporations sold us junk. Have you ever wondered how deep the rabbit hole of corporate greed truly goes? We are taught to trust brands with a century of heritage, assuming that our tens of thousands of dollars buy us an engineering masterpiece. But automotive history is littered with moments when industry giants knowingly unleashed coffins on wheels, or cynical fakes marked up by 300%. Today, we are dissecting the 9 most egregious failures, from sports cars that ignited at stoplights to luxury sedans that turned to dust in 2 years. If you think the modern car industry has gone downhill, read until you hit number 1. You'll realize that the true highway to hell was paved decades ago. 9. Merkur XR4 Ti, 1985 to 1989. In the mid-'80s, Ford executives decided they needed a BMW killer in America. Instead of reinventing the wheel, they took the excellent German Ford Sierra XR4i and created an entirely new brand for it, Merkur. Marketers thought the name sounded European and sophisticated, but in reality, Americans didn't even know how to pronounce it. Was it Mercury? Merkur? Merkur? Technically, it was a beast, a 2.3-liter turbocharged engine pumping out 175 horsepower, and rear-wheel drive promised a thrilling driver's experience. But the reality of ownership was a nightmare. American Lincoln Mercury dealers, used to servicing massive V8 land yachts, looked at the complex German Turbo4 like it was an alien spacecraft. Parts took months to arrive and cost as much as Porsche components. Add to that the bizarre biplane double spoiler, which American buyers found ridiculous, and constant electrical failures. Ford poured millions into the brand, but by 1989, they admitted defeat. The Merkur XR4 Ti stands as a monument to how a great engineering base can be buried by incompetent marketing and a lack of service infrastructure. 8. Sterling 825, 1987 to 1988. On paper, the union between Britain's Rover and Japan's Honda looked like a match made in heaven. British style and comfort, paired with legendary Japanese reliability. The Sterling 825 was built on the Acura Legend platform and featured a superb Japanese 2.5-liter V6 producing 151 horsepower. But as soon as production began in England, everything fell apart. The problem was that only the engine was Japanese. Everything else, the body, the interior, and most terrifyingly, the electronics, was British. Owners who spent $20,000, a fortune at the time, faced issues unheard of even in budget hatchbacks. The paint began to fade and peel within 6 months, the leather interior cracked, and cabin panels would literally fall off when hitting a pothole. But the cherry on top was the Lucas electronics. The gauges had a mind of their own, headlights would cut out at midnight on the highway, and the central locking system would trap you inside whenever it felt like it. By 1991, the Sterling brand fled the US in shame, leaving thousands of owners with cars that were impossible to repair and even harder to sell. 7. Chevrolet Citation, 1980 to 1985. The Chevrolet Citation is the textbook definition of General Motors' ambition outrunning its common sense. It was GM's first front-wheel drive compact, and in 1980, it was a sensation. 811,000 units sold in the first year alone. Motor Trend even named it Car of the Year. Buyers lined up for this modern hatchback with an optional 135 horsepower V6. The celebration was short-lived. It soon became clear that the Citation was a death trap. The most terrifying issue was the rear brakes. Due to a massive engineering flaw in pressure distribution, they would lock up under the slightest pressure, sending the car into an uncontrollable spin. This led to numerous fatal accidents and a record-breaking lawsuit from the U.S. Department of Justice. But wait, there's more. Engines suffered from chronic oil leaks, transmissions died before 30,000 miles, and the bodies rusted while still on the showroom floor. By 1985, sales had plummeted 13-fold. The Citation remains one of the most recalled vehicles in history, shattering trust in American engineering for a generation. 6. Chrysler Imperial, 1981 to 1983. In the early 80s, Chrysler tried to revive the Imperial name as a standalone luxury brand to challenge Cadillac and Lincoln. They even hired Frank Sinatra as the face of the campaign. But behind the glitz was a cynical lie. The new Imperial was built on the stretched K-car platform, the same one used for the ultra-budget Dodge Aries. It was a small car trying to play limousine, but the electronics were its true downfall. Chrysler packed the car with space-age technology, a digital dashboard, and an electronic fuel injection system that was catastrophically underdeveloped. The cars refused to start in high humidity or freezing cold. The voice warning system would randomly scream at the driver in the middle of the night. Buyers quickly realized they were being sold a cheap economy car in a gold wrapper. Sales were so pathetic, only 16,000 in 3 years, that Lee Iacocca personally ordered the project killed. 3. Chevrolet Camaro, Iron Duke, 1982 to 1986. The Camaro is a legend of muscle and burnt rubber. But in 1982, someone at GM decided that the base model only needed a 2.5-liter engine, making a pitiful 90 horsepower. This engine was nicknamed the Iron Duke, and it was designed for mail trucks and economy sedans. Definitely not for a pony car. This was a Camaro that took 14.5 seconds to reach 60 miles per hour. It was outrun by almost everything. Station wagons, diesel delivery trucks, and probably a motivated cyclist. The engine was heavy, vibrated like a lawnmower, and was so loud it made the interior rattle within a month. The car looked aggressive, but it was hollow and powerless. It was an insult to the entire history of muscle cars. Enthusiasts still try to forget this embarrassment, and surviving Iron Duke Camaros are now viewed as a bizarre punchline rather than a collector's item. 2. Yugo GV, 1986 to 1987. The Yugoslavian-made Yugo GV went down in history as the cheapest car ever sold in the U.S., just $3,990. For that money, you got something that barely qualified as a car. The 1.1-liter engine produced 55 horsepower, making highway merging an act of attempted suicide. But the price was just the tip of the iceberg. The build quality was so poor that Yugo jokes became a staple of American culture. Why does a Yugo have a heated rear window? To keep your hands warm while you push it. It was true. Windows fell out of their tracks. Timing belts snapped at 20,000 miles, destroying the engine. And the interior plastic crumbled under direct sunlight. The carpeting would rot for no apparent reason. The Yugo became the ultimate symbol of the fact that cheap comes with a very high price tag. 1. Chrysler TC by Maserati, 1987 to 1991. Finally, the king of automotive absurdity. Imagine you want to buy an exotic Italian convertible, a symbol of status and luxury. You walk into a showroom and drop $33,000, more than double the price of a normal car, for the Chrysler TC by Maserati. You are promised Italian craftsmanship and a legendary racing heritage. Now, the reality, underneath the Italian leather and the Maserati Trident was a standard Chrysler LeBaron worth $14,000. They had identical body panels, the same platform, and often the same sluggish 4-cylinder engine. Even from the outside, they were nearly impossible to tell apart unless you looked closely at the badge. Buyers felt robbed before they even left the dealership lot. Production was delayed for years, and by the time it launched, the car was technically obsolete. Only about 7,000 were made, making it the loudest failure of Lee Iacocca's career. It wasn't just a bad car, it was a bold attempt to sell mediocrity at the price of a dream. These 9 cars prove one thing. Neither a famous name nor a massive budget can guarantee quality. Want to follow up on modern SUVs that fall apart the second the warranty expires? Hit the like button and comment, "I want more," for the next deep dive.